it going? It's Brad from Harmony Central here at NAMM 2014. I'm with my good buddy Nate over at the Alesis booth, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of great things for drummers, some new product that you have out for drummers. Why don't you tell us about some of this great stuff?
Sure. So, I want to show you 3 different products that are for drummers this year at NAMM, brand new for the show. Sample Pad Pro is the first piece, and it is really the evolution of all of our perk pad and sample pad products of the past. So it is 8 pads, 6 main pads, 2 upper. The Sample Pad Pro comes with a drum module on board, 10 kits, just about 200 sounds. But the real story here is the SD card integration. We're going to ship this with a fully loaded 32 gig, which is the capacity, 32 gig SD card loaded up with sounds from Air and Sonovox. But of course you can go in and put your own sounds onto that SD card as well. All the transfer is done over USB directly from the unit, so you don't need a separate SD card reader. And you can bring in 20 additional kits as long as you stay within that 32 gig capacity. So you could be doing loops with this, you could be doing backing tracks, or of course bring in totally new drum kits or sound sets. So of course we have our headphone volume up front, our main volume up front, our screen here, and our menu navigation buttons. But I'm also going to spin this around and show you what else we have on the back for extensions. We have USB, of course, to integrate with your computer. Sample Pad Pro can also be used in controller mode if you choose to do so with the drum plugin. We have 5-pin DIN, MIDI out and MIDI in. We have 1/4 inch left and right outputs. We have 2 extra trigger inputs for Pad 1 and Pad 2, an assignable foot switch, and 2 extra inputs for hi-hat and kick with switches, so it accommodates whatever you're using. Also, headphone output is on the back, power supply, power switch, and an 1/8 inch stereo auxiliary input for an external audio source with its own volume control. So that's the Sample Pad Pro. Now, everything that we just talked about with Sample Pad Pro is put into this 1U rack solution called Sample Rack. And of course there are no pads. So instead of pads, you have 8 trigger inputs on the back of Sample Rack. So this is a really killer solution that hasn't been addressed for quite some time. So on the front panel here, I'll run you through it. Power switch, main volume, that same SD card, and it will include that 32 gig SD card fully loaded that I mentioned. It has the front screen for all of your menu navigation, your navigation buttons, headphone output on the front with its own volume control, auxiliary input on the front with its volume control as well. I'll spin this one around, and you can see that we have those 8 trigger inputs that I mentioned instead of the pads on Sample Pad Pro. We have our hi-hat and kick input with switches. We have our assignable foot switch, MIDI in and MIDI out, 5-pin DIN, USB to your computer. And this is really not only a standalone unit for an onboard drum module with an SD card, which brings in 20 additional kits, 30 kits total, but this is the bridge for the plug-in and software-based drummer. It's also at a very affordable price point. The triggers are even faster than what we've done on DM5 and other drum modules in the past. A really killer solution that's going to open up a lot of new possibilities for acoustic triggering and setting up a custom electronic drum kit. So, I have one more thing to show you that's new at the show for drummers. We are doing a brand new set of isolating headphones for drum monitoring. We call them the DRP100s, drum reference phones. So the DRP100s have 40mm drivers. They're not just passive isolation, these are actually monitor headphones. It has a nice clamp here that isn't too strong. It's not going to give you any fatigue. The headband is silicone, so it's a sweat-proof silicone headband. So when you're playing, this thing isn't going to move on you. We also have an 1/8 inch input for your cable on the left ear cup, which is actually positioned on the back of the ear cup, so it's meant to go right down your back, and you won't have to buy a new set of headphones if your cable ever breaks. So, give these a shot.
Yeah, let me try them on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, these are great.
Pretty cool.
Nate, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for watching Harmony Central. We'll see you again soon.